Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is so close, and of course so are these theories finally being answered, and these thoughts and predictions that we have about this game. We can finally dive in ourselves and find out what's going on. And last time we talked about the theories and predictions of dungeons actually being in this game and how important of a role they played. And I still want to talk about those, but right now I want to talk about something that's very interesting. It's something that a lot of people are starting to notice, especially since the previews are out, and it has to deal with swimming. If you notice, Breath of the Wild had very weird swimming, I guess you could say. Personally, I hated it. I thought it was probably one of the worst swimming mechanics I've played, because you could only like paddle in different directions, and then if you wanted to swim faster, it was like little burst of movements that he would do in a straight line. I don't know, I thought it was terrible, and I wanted new ways of swimming and also underwater swimming. I feel like that would have been a really cool thing to explore with Hyrule now, is since we have all these big areas full of water, how about we be able to actually swim down there and see if there's any caverns or inside caves or anything like that. But we might have a quick answer, at least for when you start the game right now, if this is even possible. And the answer is no. Nothing's really changed with the swimming so far. Everybody has commented on. Now, this is the very beginning of the game that Nintendo is letting people play on the first batch of Sky Islands. So odds are they're not going to let us see everything that's out the gate. But right now, no, you can just still swim the exact same way you did in Breath of the Wild, which is a downer, I'm not gonna lie. But does that mean it's the absolute end? No, not necessarily. Now, there was a Zora tunic or Zora outfit in Breath of the Wild. All it did was let you swim faster and up waterfalls. It didn't change the mechanics of the swim, unfortunately. But that's not to say that there's not going to be any type of outfit or Zora scale or anything like that in this game that allows you to swim. In fact, there's even a scene so far that shows Link doing something very mysterious that kind of looks like swimming. There's a scene in the recent trailer where Link jumps into an orb of water, and once he jumps into it, he enters kind of a state where he's kind of stationary swimming inside. He's keeping himself afloat, which is very interesting because it shows that technically Link can go in the water. Now, this could just be a one-time thing only for these gravity spheres, which just does not seem likely. So how is this actually happening? Well, something else in this scene is very interesting as we see Link do a big jump and a big leap in this same area, which a lot of people think it might just be to this area. Maybe this area is all gravity affected and it gives off different things, but it just doesn't quite make sense. Just because this area has low gravity doesn't mean that Link will have a completely unique animation for swimming underwater. And also considering the fact that we see Link do that same high jump later on in a different gameplay segment, so we can pretty much rule that out. There seems to be some type of underwater swimming mechanic. I mean, it's even made for Link to just paddle while in deep water. So what is this? Well, I actually do want to make a theory, and this theory is pretty wild and out there, but hear me out. This will actually be talked a lot more in its own separate video, but what if Link actually can get items in this game? What if there are items like the Rock Feather, which allowed him to jump further, or the Zora Scale, which allows him to swim underwater? And obviously in the preview, they're not going to give the players those items right now. That's stuff they want us to find and stuff. That's stuff they don't want to be spoiled, and that's definitely something that you can maybe even get from a dungeon. Maybe that's a dungeon item. For instance, Link goes through a dungeon that's full of water, and halfway through he defeats the mini boss and gets the Zora Scale, which allows him to swim underwater and enter the second half of the dungeon, which would be really cool. And then Link can use that ability out in the wild. Hey, real quick, if you guys are enjoying this video and you are very excited for Tears of the Kingdom, stop what you're doing right now, put it to a halt, put everything down, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Zelda. It helps out a lot, guys. Thank you so much, and let's get back into the video. But I can obviously sit and talk about that theory of there being items and special things given to Link throughout these dungeons for a later video. I want to still focus on the water here, but there's other things that we've seen so far that kind of indicate that there could very well be underwater exploration. The next thing I've seen was there's a giant whirlpool in the middle of Lake Hylia, which just makes too much sense. obviously it's one of the bigger bodies of water throughout the Zelda series, and obviously in Breath of the Wild, and we couldn't explore much of it. It was just water and a bridge. What if now we get to actually go underneath and swim into the water? Now, just like in the past Zelda games, even the classics like Link to the Past, where Link could not just jump into the water until he got the flippers, which would then allow him to go into things like the waterfall and obviously into this whirlpool. So maybe at first glance Link would drown, but after getting the flippers or whatever he needs, he can then go into the water and go into this whirlpool. Why else would there be a giant whirlpool? Maybe there's some type of Octorok boss or giant squid or something, but I'm definitely going for the point of there has to be a way in there, and I'm going for the fact that maybe we have to unlock that underwater swimming mechanic. Now, when Aonuma was playing the game, we also saw 3 brand new bodies of water, which very well could be added because of the fact that Link can now swim. Why else would they just keep adding random bodies of water like ponds and moats if Link couldn't swim in them, if Link couldn't go down to the bottom in order to get some type of treasure or something? I just think it makes sense, but let's just say for a second that Link can actually underwater swim in Tears of the Kingdom. Well, what's the point? Of course, yes, collecting treasure would be cool. Just swimming down, opening a chest, and getting a rare item or weapon, whatever it may be, could be cool. But it's about maybe exploring areas that got flooded for some reason. Maybe some of the areas that we used to know got flooded, which opened up new pathways, which can lead us into underground cave networks, which we can actually swim through in order to reach new areas or new structures, which would be just freaking cool, would it not? I mean, seriously, imagine swimming into an underground or underwater cave or cavern where you can just jump out into this wet cave. Imagine the ceiling just dripping, and I'm just kind of painting this picture out for you. It'd be really cool, and maybe there's like a mini boss in there waiting for you or some type of super rare collectible, and you can only get once you get this underwater swimming ability, which you will only get from a dungeon or whatever. That would just be cool. Like, seriously, imagine seeing kind of the remnants of the past Zora domains, which used to actually be underwater in its own underwater caverns and caves. That could be really cool. Maybe like a new city that's down there actually with Zora people still. Maybe an ancient lost tribe of the Zora that still lives underwater and just has nothing to do with the surface world. Come on, like seriously, that'd be so cool. But I'm just hoping that Nintendo's solution and answer to underwater exploration isn't putting on some iron boots and sinking down to the bottom of the water, because let's face it, we're all going to be very upset if that happens. But I actually do still think there is a very good chance we could see underwater swimming thanks to that one scene specifically. I also think it's very weird how they showed that scene. They showed Link jumping really far, and then they also show Link with a wingsuit, which are all like new things that maybe Link can get as items, which would be really cool. Like the rock feather returning, a wingsuit making a new debut as a new item, and maybe even the Zora scale or some type of ability that lets him swim underwater. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Do you think we'll be able to swim underwater in this game? And if so, what would you like to visit and what do you like to see down there? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, stop what you're doing, leave a like, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.